We're Ralph and Cindy DiPasquale. We've been married for 43 years, and during these 43 years we've raised 4 daughters and somehow managed to keep our heads above water. As our family grew, we realized the value of a formal education for these children, and that this responsibility far exceeded any resources that we presently had. That meant it was necessary for us to start saving. When the twins arrived unexpectedly, in the period of 5 years, we now had 4 daughters to raise. Reflecting on our situation, if we were going to give each child an education from a financial point of view, that was going to take a lot of money. This was money we did not have. In addition to the college education, ultimately there were also 4 weddings. We all know the expense of a wedding. There really was no decision to make. It meant that we had to both work and we had to save as much as we could. During these years, the rewards were greater than the expenditures, and we would have been happy to stop the clock at any given moment and continue our life indefinitely with these 4 as little girls. We were blessed to have each one. Today our daughters have not disappointed us. Their education was worth every penny that we spent. The oldest has earned a doctorate degree in audiology and married a doctor of optometry. The oldest of the twins by 5 minutes is a pharmaceutical rep. She married a surgical sales representative, and when their first child was born, she became a stay-at-home mom. Later, she would partner with her twin sister, and they purchased 2 franchises of Learning Express toy stores, and they call it Twin Toys. The second of the younger of the twins is a pilot for United Airlines, and she flies an Airbus. She married a pilot who also flies corporate jets. After 9/11, she was furloughed twice. During the furlough period, they decided to raise a family, and they had 2 children. She is now a partner in the toy stores with her sister. She's scheduled to go back to work, but she doesn't know if she's going to do that or if she's going to just stay at the toy store, return to flying. We don't want to be bragging about our children, but since this is addressing the financial topic, we wanted to share with you the importance of savings and how it affected our family and the impact that it will also have on your family's future. Everything is possible should you decide for it to be. As we have already mentioned, it was worth every penny and every second and every minute. The rewards of life are wonderful. Now it's time to start this presentation and start talking about you. Unless you are an exceptional case and with unlimited income, finances are going to be a big part of your lives. It will be never ending. You will be managing finances today, tomorrow, next year, and for the rest of your lives. Loans are acceptable but must be paid according to their contract. No one wants to deal with a deadbeat. If you feel you have too many friends, one sure way to get rid of a few is to tell them you're broke and then ask them for a loan. We can assume that you can all keep a checkbook balanced. The meaning of balanced is based on checks you have written against your checking account balance and not against a deposit that you're planning on making tomorrow or next week. If you are in agreement, then we have the basis and understanding for you to hopefully stay out of any financial difficulties, if not financial disaster.
Thank you. Good afternoon. As you know, we're going to talk about finance and marriage. Finance are going to play a very important role in your life, especially in your marriage. The success or failure of your finance is going to be determined entirely upon the both of you. We are not financial advisors. We do not hold a degree on this topic. But like gray hair, what we do have is experience. In both cases, these two are accumulated over a long period of time. By sharing our experiences and passing on to you the advice that was given to us by others, we hope that we can help you avoid some of those pitfalls that await you. As Cindy said, unless you are independently wealthy, the base of our presentation should apply to all of you. Your individual annual income status will be the determining factor of what does and what does not apply. Those of you holding a financial degree, and for those of you 30 years or older, you may already have knowledge of the items we're about to cover. But for those very young couples who have not had exposure to this information, it is my pleasure to make you aware of how important it is for you to have a workable financial plan that will ultimately have a positive impact on your financial family future. The ultimate reward for this presentation will be that perhaps at least one marriage is saved, that at least one child will not experience growing up in a family that was separated by poor financial planning. The success in finance and marriage is not a big secret. Just a few simple rules: responsibility, preparation, working together, and mostly just plain common sense. Today we'll be covering the items that you have on your list, but not necessarily in the order I have them. It's my privilege to do it that way. The first topic is consideration of one another. If you're going to have a chance of having any success with your finance and marriage, I feel we should start this session with how important consideration is to one another and what an impact it will have as the two of you plan your lives together. Times have changed. You have made a commitment to each other. Out of courtesy, but more importantly, out of respect for one another, you can no longer take the approach of what is mine, what is yours, or rather, what is ours. Based on our own personal experiences, the money you earn is not yours alone. It belongs to the both of you. You should only have one checking account, not two. It is important to establish a unity at the onset of your marriage. When you were single, the only priority was you. Once you were married, it would be selfish of you not to include your spouse. So you see, you are no longer in the center of your universe. In the line of self-interest, or what is it for me, you are now second in line. Later, should you be blessed with children, the children need to take precedence. Your place in line will be a little further back. You will end up third. How difficult it will be to adjust to the new philosophy will depend on the two of you. Church contribution. I felt church contribution to be included in this because it is an item that you need to put on your budget. The second item on your budget list should be your contribution to your church. To appreciate what I am about to cover with you on this topic, in the material you have received, I have included a short article on your parish history, St. Joseph Church. There you will see a phrase that's underlined. You can read that and just give it some thought. First of all, there are many different ways you can contribute to your church. To volunteer for helping with the parish program, call your parish. I'm sure your help and participation will be greatly appreciated. The need to support your church is extremely important. The church cannot support itself. It is the responsibility of all of us to ensure its existence. If we all do our part, your church will be here for you. Thanks to our predecessor, it was here for your first sacrament, and it will be here for all your spiritual needs. Like a mother feeds a newborn, your church will nourish your spirit. Now we get into the budget. A budget is an important item to consider. The key to your financial success will depend on it. As you go through life, you will live for that day when you can say we no longer need to be on a budget. Until that time comes, the fact that you will be living on one, when making a budget, until that time comes, accept the fact that you will be living on one. When making a budget, you must first consider your priorities. Let's be clear here. Priorities are not a listing of what you would like to have, but rather what is important and must be entered on the priority list with that in mind. When you have completed your budget guidelines, you must now be able to operate within the basis of your income. If you feel you're unable to do this, revise it again. It is your responsibility to stay within that framework. Failure to do this, you are living beyond your means. As we continue, we will cover what percent of your income you're expected to save and the importance and the reality of what it means to live within your income. Next comes savings. On your list of priorities, the very first item should be savings. You should always pay yourself first. It is extremely important that you do this. Savings should be at the very top of the list. Today, tomorrow, and as long as there is a need for a budget, savings must remain at the top of your list. Without a saving plan, in all probabilities, you will be living from payday to payday. Should you fall in this quagmire, it will not be long before you find yourself unable to make it to the next payday. This ultimately leads to debt, and worse, at this stage, your marriage will already be negatively affected. I Googled percentage of marriage failure due to debt problems. Smart Money Magazine and Redbook, based on their study, both agree money above all else was the main factor behind couples' arguments. Money topped the conversational list of 70% or more. If couples are talking about money more often and arguing about it more often, there is a chance they are divorcing over it. In our case, the subject of money was never mentioned. Life was always a bowl of cherries. I hope you don't believe that. We have had our spats. However, what we did have was enough common sense to overcome those times and not let the topic of money come between us. The importance of a saving plan cannot be overly emphasized. Let's take a walk down the road of life. Based on the conservative traditional practices, without a savings, you will not be able to buy a home. Depending on your credit rating, you will need at least 10% of the total cost of the prospective home you are planning to buy. When buying a car, regardless, new or used, you must have a down payment. On those down payments, remember, the more you're able to put down, the lower the interest rate. Between the lower interest rate and the smaller principal, your monthly payments will be considerably lower, and it will make your life a lot better. Should you choose to fall for the no down payment pitch of the unscrupulous lenders who operate outside of the recommended guidelines, in all probabilities, you will be paying on a loan with extremely high interest rates. With a car, it is a short term, and though it may be difficult, and very low percent of those who borrow in this fashion might be able to overcome it. To purchase a home using these practices, you are guaranteed to fail. You will ultimately lose your house. Remember, at the beginning I mentioned common sense and how important it is to use it. The reason you will probably default on the loan is you were not eligibly sound to qualify. That means you do not have the money to pay for them. It does not stop there. Without a saving plan, it will be very difficult for your family to go on a nice vacation. To do so, if you're not maxed out, you might be able to take out a loan. Then comes next year's vacation, but you're still paying off last year's loan. Then what are you going to do? Take out another loan, and then another, and then another? What about Christmas, birthdays, emergency, car repairs, appliance replacements, so on and so on? Your children's education. What about your retirement? It's a long way off, but it'll come. When it does, believe me, it's tough to try and live on Social Security alone. There are many ways to cut down on spending that will help you with your saving account. How you will choose to do it will be your call. The choice of your lifestyle will be entirely up to you. I have Googled what percent of my salary we should be saving each month. The most consistent answer is 10% of our monthly wages. How important is this saving? For Cindy and I, it changed our life. It was because we had a saving account that later we were able to make investments. The results of our investment proved to be a pivotal time in our future and that of our children. Those investments helped with securing our children's education, and for Cindy and me, well, I was able to retire at 50 years of age. On the topic of investment, once you find there's room in your budget to consider investment, I would encourage you to contact a financial advisor. But remember, there are risks. There are losses as well as gains. Your financial advisor should inform you. in the event of a loss, will your financial situation be able to absorb this loss? If the answer is no, you're not ready to invest. The following is strictly my take on this subject. Unless you have a guarantee on your principal and or return, you should never consider your investment as a substitute for a savings account. Neither should you ever consider using your home equity as a replacement for a savings. A time will come when you will need a home equity. Consider it a foundation you can build on, or in an extreme case, a cushion to fall back on. I'm going to get flack on not using home equity. Lenders, as well as those more learned than me, will disagree. Their thinking on this is the equity money is just lying there, not doing any good. Why not use it? This is the best way to get a low interest loan. I disagree with that. And the reason is, your house is your home, not an investment, as some of you may think. It is a roof over your family's head. Do not jeopardize your children's home. Please remember, a home equity loan must be repaid before you can sell your house. Depending on the market, in the lifetime, the average family upgrades 2 to 3 times. With a home equity loan against your house, you might not be able to do this. Also consider at the time you are assuming a home equity loan, you may both be working. What happens if one of you, for whatever reason, loses his or her job? Will you be able to make a payment on that second mortgage? If you can no longer meet your payment obligation, the lender will foreclose on you, and you will lose your house. The other hidden reason as to why you should not take out a home equity loan, if you have been keeping up with the market, there are 2 contributing factors as to why the housing industry is in shambles. They are unemployment and the decline in the real estate market. Both of these will have a negative impact on your home equity loan status. You don't want to own more on your home than your home is worth. Credit cards. Unless you are a congressman, don't spend money you don't have. To paraphrase Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher, also known as the Iron Lady, if you continue to spend someone else's money, it will stop. And such is the case with uncontrolled credit card spending. Based on my personal experience, there are 3 credit card rules you should consider. Number 1, cut off all your credit cards except one. You can get in enough trouble with just one credit card. You don't need to. Unless you can pay the entire balance off, do not make major purchases with a credit card. Believe it or not, there are people who actually use credit cards to purchase automobiles. It was never intended for anyone to get a loan with a credit card. Their interest rates are too high. That is why we have loan companies. They charge 5 to 6%. Credit cards charge 12 to 19%. There's a big difference. Do yourself a favor. Do not charge above what you can afford to pay off at the end of each month. Future loans. On the loan issue, in your packet of information, I have included 2 pieces of literature. The first piece of information is calculating your income. Now, you would think that's pretty easy, but if you read the article, you'll see that there's more to it than that. This should help you in what figure to use when you are putting your budget list together. When putting your budget together, remember, your gross income is not your take-home income. Your take-home income is the after-tax or net income. This should help you with what figures to enter into your budget. The second piece of literature is the debt-to-income ratio. The debt-to-income ratio is what a lender uses as a guideline to qualify you for a mortgage loan. The front number, 33%, is your monthly gross income before taxes. Now, they're using this before taxes because it's an average. That is used to pay your housing costs. That's including principal, interest, property taxes, home insurances, and mortgage insurance. The back number, 38%, is the same thing, only it includes your consumer debt, such as a car payment, credit card, debt, installment loans, and other related expenses. To better qualify with the lender's guideline, try to minimize your debt as much as possible. And it is this formula that is determined whether you get your loan or not, or whether, if you do get it, whether you succeed or not in paying it off. Fun and leisure. Each one of us has a different interpretation of this topic. If your income allows for it, fun and leisure should be considered. After all, we all need a break. During those years, we always tried to go on an annual family vacation. Thinking back, we feel very fortunate as we were able to save for that getaway time. Today, as we think back, some of our best memories are from those vacations. Had we needed to take out a loan, we probably would not have gone. Today, on our calendar, there is a week set aside for family vacation. Only now the family number has increased, including our grandchildren. There are 14 of us, and we all go on a family vacation together, at least 1 week together, and others. Then we go other vacations separately. To sum it up, live within your means of your income, use common sense, and plan for the future. But I would like to add one more thing. When you're savings, if you could try to make savings a rewarding experience, look at it this way. Ladies, when you buy clothes and you look in your closet and they're all hanging there, how you feel good that you have all these clothes. Well, when you take your money and put it into your savings account, try to look at it in the same way. Feel good that you saved. And make a habit of that. I take two arbitrary numbers. Let's say that your debt is over $100 and your income is $20. Okay. Let's take out of that $20, $2. First thing you do, take $2, save it. Save that $2. Then go in there again, take another $1 or $2 and give it to someone who needs it even more than you. And by doing this, you will feel very good. And you'll see that trying to save money and try to get through the maze of money in life can be rewarding, and that it's not as bad as it sounds. So good luck to all of you. God bless.
Ralph has painted a gloomy picture, but what he covered is really reality. Finances must be taken seriously, especially when other people are involved. For those who want to advance or to live a better quality of life, there are all long-established rules to be followed. You must be willing to discipline yourself and have determination that yes, between the two of you, you can make it. You recall when I mentioned that on the onset of our marriage, we had no money. When we were married, Ralph was in the service with only 2 stripes. His pay was not very substantial. I was barely 19 and attending X-ray school with no income. But I was in love. Well, at the time we were young, you know. We had each other, and after paying $5 to the proverbial organ player for a very super small wedding, all that we had to our name was $15, groceries, a full tank of gas, and payday was not for another 12 days. So looking back, I say we had a lot. My life has been full.
That's great.
Good luck to you with your marriage and your finances, and God bless you all.